I don't think people should put their hands on someone in anger if you say you love them.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out why are you doing this? Because it happened more than once.
Jeez. Wrong decision, man.
Judgment's sprung, in and out, the verdict swung. Oouchie Court Watch, we've just begun. Oouchie Court Watch, we're on the scene. Truth's unraveling, what does it mean?
All right, the parties on Yishel Dela Cruz.
Moving judge.
Court is calling 2024 CR 009415, State of Texas versus Yoshio Dela Cruz. Could I have parties announced for the record? State.
For the state of Texas.
John St. Heinrich for Mr. Dela Cruz.
Are you Mr. Dela Cruz?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Counsel, have you received all discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, I have. I believe so, Your Honor, and yes, I have.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Is this an application for deferred adjudication?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Dela Cruz, did you review the document entitled application for deferred with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do so waive the reading of the indictment, Judge.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Proceed on count 2 and we'll wait.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right. Did you review the document entitled court admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand the state is proceeding on count 2, which is continuous violence against the family? That's a third-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for the deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine? Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dela Cruz, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on count 2. There's a $1,500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication. There's an affirmative finding of family violence, and there's to be no contact with the complainant. Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to be designated as primary custodial parent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that to be your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, is that the plea?
It is the plea, Judge.
State, is that the plea? Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
None urged, Your Honor.
Outside the agreement, the state is recommending that your deferred adjudication be for a term of 7 years. There'll be 150 hours community service restitution, the BIPP course, TAP evaluation, and follow all recommendations. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations? Then to count 2 of the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? State, any evidence?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right. And state, have you spoken to the complainant? And is the complainant aware of this plea bargain agreement? All right, thank you. You may be excused. Did you review the waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. Court will defer finding of guilt as you applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
I do, please, Judge. My client is a subcontractor. His business fluctuates, and also given the length of the term of the deferred adjudication, we're asking that the court place any supervisory fees to the statutory minimum.
All right. So what's your issue?
Decisions.
I mean, why? I mean, I'm assuming you at one point loved the complainant. I don't think people should put their hands on someone in anger if you say you love them.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out why are you doing this? Because it happened more than once.
Please. Wrong decision, ma'am. I understand.
I mean,
Yes,
but
yes.
here's the thing. You have to figure out why are you making these wrong decisions.
Yes.
Now, I saw one incident happen at a bar. I don't know if alcohol is an issue with you, although when people say the alcohol made me do it, it's like, not really. You wanted to do that and the alcohol is just an excuse, right?
Right.
So do you have anger issues?
No, ma'am. I don't believe so.
Well, I mean, obviously you do, because this happened more than on one occasion. Did you love her?
Yes.
Are you all still together?
No, ma'am.
All right, so you loved her, right? And this just happened in 2024. So what you visited upon her by being violent towards her, if you're in another relationship, you're going to be violent towards them because you don't know why you get angry and take it out on people who are weaker than you physically. If I could, I would put in my conditions that you're not allowed to be in any type of relationship, but I'm not allowed to do that. But what I will tell you is you shouldn't be in any type of relationship until you figure out why you're so angry and why you want to abuse people that you say you love. If it's something that stems traumatic from your childhood or something you witnessed, and this is you saying, this is how you show love, or this is the way my father treated my mother, then that's something you need to address. But you just can't go through life doing this. All right. I'm not going to drop the fees for the court costs, which includes the probation costs, but I will probate the fine. So the fine is $1,500. You don't have to pay that fine. The only time you may have to pay that fine is if you are revoked. And then if you're revoked, you're open to the full range of punishment for the fine, which is up to $10,000. All right, so there'll be $1,500 fine probated. There's to be no contact with the complainant. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular random UAs. Proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. the BIPP course, TAP evaluation out of custody. There's to be 90 sober support meetings in 90 days. 150 hours of community service restitution. I will deduct 50 hours upon completion of the BIP course. There's to be field visits 1 time per month for 6 months. And you said he works out of town?
Your Honor, he does from time to time, and he also, at least in the past, has traveled to Mexico for work.
All right, defendant is allowed to travel for work.
Thank you, Judge.
If you are working outside of the state, you will need to contact probation beforehand and let them know. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, probation, is there anything else he needs?
No, Judge.
Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, sure. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am. Did.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. And I'm going to sentence you also to 7 years deferred adjudication. Thank you. All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Relationships are difficult for everybody, right?
Yes, ma'am.
People sometimes think relationships are going to be, oh, we're so in love. We're always going to be so in love. There are no problems. Who knows what happened to Cinderella and the Prince once the cameras start rolling? They just say, and they lived happily ever after, but nobody shows what really happened afterwards, right?
Right.
You obviously have an anger issue. There may be an alcohol issue with you. Before you get into another relationship, are you already in another relationship?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Don't get into one. Before you get into one, this is what you need to do. Go buy an orchid, right? When you get an orchid from the store, it's beautiful. It has the flowers on it. Once those flowers fall, and they will, do not get into another relationship until you're able to make that same orchid bloom again. This is why I tell people that. Orchids, they give you these directions on it. They say, put an ice cube in it. I quickly learned you're not supposed to put ice cubes in an orchid, regardless of what that little card says. And then they'll say, set it on the ledge, but don't put it in direct sunlight. Some orchids, you don't put them in direct sunlight. You think you're doing the whole thing, and they still won't bloom. Next thing you know, they're dying. But orchids require a lot of patience. That's why I always tell people to get an orchid. And if you can make it bloom again, you will look up and find that you've developed so much patience. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you for addressing appropriately for court.
Thank you.
May we please be excused, Judge?
Yes. Well, he has conditions, but yes, you may go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Oouchie Court Watch, we're on the scene. Truths unravel, and what does it mean? In the halls where stories clash, Oouchie Court Watch, quick as a flash.